What's up, everybody? Mike here, and in this Elden Ring video, I want to go over some really key things that will help you prepare and get ready for Erdtree DLC. First, I want to go into basically optimize your character properly. So, based on a couple reviews I've checked out and other reports I've looked into, it seems that when it comes to DLC, you want to be at a recommended level of 150 minimum, because the DLC is going to be very challenging. It is not a walk in the park. It will make you, humble, basically. And don't worry, even if you are above 150, like say you're level 200, 300, 400, don't worry, you will not feel overpowered because DLC will still humble you. All right. But if you're way beyond 150, great. And then if you're still finding, when you do get in the DLC, that it's difficult for you to deal with certain enemies, regular enemies, even bosses, there are items that are going to help you out that are exclusive to DLC and will not be carried over back to the main game. This is the Erdtree fragments, which basically increases both your damage protection and output slightly. I believe it was like 5% when it comes to damage output, and then a similar percentage when it comes to your damage mitigation. And you'll be finding these throughout the world of the DLC, and you'll basically have to consume them, and they'll be permanent consumables basically once you use them. Kind of similar to how the flask system works in the base game, where you're getting the golden seeds and you got to get so many to upgrade your flasks, things like that. You don't have to do this though, it's optional. Just keep in mind though, if you don't use these fragments, you will be taking substantial damage from even regular foes. So hence having a good health pool is crucial at the beginning. And just to give you an idea of what this build is I'm using here, this is actually the build I used on the first playthrough for Elden Ring. This will not be the character or build I'm using for the Let's Play, like live stream series I do of the DLC. This is actually gonna be the character I use for the walkthrough prep. But as you can see here, I am level 150, and I would say it's very important whether you're going to use the Erdtree fragments to help you out, make it a little bit easier or not. It's definitely good to have your health pool really good. So vigor at least 50 minimum. Hands down, 50 to 60 minimum, I would say. Do not neglect your vigor, guys. Aside from that, just, go for the builds you want to go for. This is a samurai mage hybrid build, basically, because I'm using a mixture of like two dual-wielding katanas, the Rivers of Blood and the Moonveil, as well as a staff to use sorcery spells. As you can see here, these sorcery spells I plan to use in the walkthrough prep. And you see my stats there for mine. Setup is 22, endurance 25, and then dexterity is 50, and intelligence is 50, with arcane at 20. To basically use all I need to for this. So yeah, I'm pretty much good to go, at least in the walkthrough prep. I'm not going to use any great runes personally, just because I didn't really have to use them in the base game on the first playthrough or even a new game plus run, but that's up to you if you want to use great runes. And just to give you a better idea, an example of why my stuff is where it's at, I got the Milicis Prosthesis and Okina Mask. Both of these give like extra buffs on my dexterity. This buffs up my dexterity by 5, this by 3. So that's why I can have my stats the way they are, in case you're wondering. But this is basically a good optimized build, an example of one for the DLC that will be viable. And then kind of going back to what I was talking about earlier with the golden seeds, as far as how like the fragments in the DLC would work, you basically want to stock up on your flasks. Make sure you have your flasks like maxed out. Like for example, right here, I go with 8 for healing, 6 for the FP. For example, you don't have to do this, but just make sure you got all your flasks. Like you're going to get a total of 14 basically. So I would say that's very important. Make sure you get that taken care of. Get all those golden seeds you need, and sacred tears as well. So that way, because sacred tears will help you in increasing the amount you recover. Do not forget to unlock your talisman pouches as well too, so you at least got 4 slots. Not at least, the max you can get is 4 slots. I would say even if you didn't get the 4th one, though, you might be all right with maybe 2 to 3, but I personally wouldn't risk it. That's up to you. You might be able to get through DLC just with this like 3, I would say, but it's definitely good if you get the 4th one, so you have all 4 talismans, because there's gonna be new talismans in the DLC you want to mess around with, try and experiment with, basically. And in case you don't know how to get the talisman slots, you'll defeat Margit the Fell Omen, basically, which is the first main boss. Gives you the 2nd talisman slot, because you start off with 1 initially, and then you get another talisman slot when you obtain 2 great runes and speak to Finger Reader Enia. So basically defeating bosses like Godric the Grafted and Renala, Queen of the Full Moon. Then talking to Enia will grant you a 3rd talisman slot. And then for the 4th and last one, you'll need to defeat Godfrey the first Elden Lord, located at the end of Landell Royal Capital. Then I also would suggest when it comes to your arsenal, whatever weapons you go with, do not neglect upgrading them. Make sure they are either fully maxed out or at least like almost maxed out, like this one's almost maxed out. Because I've been using this character as a mule character basically for build videos, I didn't max out all weapons per se, but yeah, do not neglect maxing out your weapons, whatever you decide to go with for your build. And then as you can see, I've been hanging out where you're going to access the DLC. Basically, you'll need to defeat 2 key bosses. First being Radahn. So you want to make sure that you take care of Radahn over here early on. Like, make sure you have your build strong enough to take him out. He's going to be over here in this area. Take care of him first. And then you want to come back here when you unlock this for Mohg. Alright. And essentially you'll fight Mohg here and then be able to access DLC. Now, if you're wondering how to get here, don't worry, I got you. So you can do this as like one of a few ways, basically. So if this, initially you can wait till late game to get to it by going through, the path here, the base game to get up to Mountaintops of the Giants. And essentially, let's say, for example, from here, go left. And you want to go to right about this area. There'll be like an enemy to kill, and there'll be like basically a portal you would go through that essentially will bring you. Let me go back to it. Sorry. That should bring you, I believe, either right here or even here, and essentially you're gonna work your way through some enemies basically to get to here. Yeah, not too hard. Now there is an easier way, not necessarily easier way, but there's a way you can get to here earlier in the game, and that's through doing a side quest for an NPC. And that NPC is the White Mask, Vari, I believe his name is. He shows up, I want to say, at the beginning here, like around the first step. You talk to him here. Then he shows up later in the second region here. I believe around Rose Church. Talk to him. Gives you an item, basically, that you can use to essentially invade. You can essentially, if you have internet, you can go online and do, I think, up to 3 invasions real quick. You don't have to win or anything like that. Knock them out real quick, and then he gives you the item that will essentially teleport you to this location. I must note, though, that in order to have him move to the Rose Church, you must have met the 2 fingers in the round table hold for him to move there. Now, for whatever reason you don't have internet, cannot, do this through invasions, then there is another way you can still do this quest. Basically, because of past patch, a new invasion sign of an NPC, Magnus the Beastclaw, can be found in one of the ruined buildings in Bright Blood Ruins, which is gonna be right here on the map. So from here, if you don't do the invasions, you basically go all the way up here, and essentially we'll find the NPC in this area. And then after you defeat the NPC that invades you, then you'll just go back to the Rose Church. Down here, talk to him, and he'll give you the Lord of Blood's favor item, which is what I was alluding to earlier. And basically, this allows you to go here and eventually work your way up to Mohg. The other thing about this quest, too, is it involves you getting Maiden's Blood, so you can get that from pretty much any maiden in the game. I believe there was, for example, one down here. Hold on. I believe it was like right out here. I think it was near this. Where to be NPC nearby. Essentially made in there, or a different one, essentially, and that's part of the quest line too. So don't forget that as well. Real quick, going back to how you want to build for your build and optimize it, I would honestly suggest a range option of sorts. I'm not super big into range combat, but I use this anyway because I wanted to go in on the first playthrough with a hybrid build of a samurai mage type, just to see how that would work and just to deal with certain enemies. So that's why I have this. This is mainly for my ranged when I need it. And I keep these 2 for my melees. I like the dual wielding katanas here. And these like 2 of the best katanas in the game, basically. So yeah, just have a ranged option. Honestly, it'll help you and save you. Make sure you are respec ready by having larval tears as well too. This is what you use to respec your character. So I'm probably going to end up respecing mine in the walkthrough. I don't know. I definitely won't need to on the Let's Play character because that's an everything men build where I got him like at almost 300. So I won't need respect there. But this particular character, I may or may not have to. We'll see. This is basically a character that I'm using for the walkthrough. But for you, you know, just keep that in mind. You're going to need to get level tiers for this. Lastly, on a final note here, you know, after you've done what I've suggested to you to do, as far as make sure you have at least one level 150 character, you optimize your build, you got all your golden seeds, you know, your sacred tiers, you got your talismans, you know, upgrade materials, things like that, defeat necessary bosses. I would highly recommend that you manually copy your save file to a folder on your desktop. For PlayStation, use the USB drive. For Xbox, follow the console's backup process. That way, in case anything happens to your stuff, you have that save file backed up, just in case. In this way, back up your save allows you to replay the DLC without going through the entire game again. Whether you miss something, mess up an NPC quest line, or simply want to experience the DLC with a different build. It'll just make your life a lot easier when it comes to this game. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. Hopefully this is helpful to you and you enjoyed it. Please hit that thumbs up if you did, and subscribe if you're new. I got a lot more Elden Ring coverage to bring, a lot more build videos because of DLC. I guess I'll be live streaming this on both YouTube and Twitch, so you'll be able to catch it that way with my Let's Play live stream series of it. And I'll be having some other guide videos, not just builds as well too. And I plan to do a walkthrough of the DLC as well, so stay tuned for that. My name's Mike. Thanks for watching.